In this video, I will take you through the process of painting our dark, cheap, pressed wood kitchen cabinets. I am not a professional painter, so do not take this as a how-to video. I will show you some of the techniques I used and the mistakes and issues encountered. These are some of the before and after shots of doing the same thing in our TV room last year. There is a link to that video in the comments. This is the first of two coats. You can see I have removed the cabinet doors. This takes some time, but more than makes up for it. I also like using a 2-inch foam roller. We got this special cabinet paint from Sherwin-Williams. It is well worth the extra price as it gives excellent coverage, it's easy to clean up, and dries very quickly. After the roller, I come back with the brush to fill in the area the roller will not reach. In order to get more light in the kitchen, we have found that if you paint up on top of this, it reflects off the ceiling light a little better. And the same thing, we're going to paint this underneath here white too. I was worried about using my expensive paint up here on top where you can't see it. So I found an old can of white paint and used that instead. Later on I found out that that was not worth it. The next morning I am starting my second coat with the roller. Second coat on the top. This gives you a pretty good idea of one coat versus two. Now the bottom cabinet. Final second coat brushwork on the top cabinets. We're back here. I'm going to try to do a third coat just with the roller on the flat surfaces and see if that's enough to get by here. Trying to paint underneath the counter here so the light will reflect off of it. So I'm not going to use the expensive paint. I've got some old paint I'm going to use for this white. This already has one coat of the cheap old paint on there. Even after the second coat, it still is not covering very good. Bad decision. Here we got the same situation going on. Probably don't need a third coat here, but at least you can see what the difference is. I've developed a process for these doors. The first thing I do is get some paint on the roller, then remove a small mount on the flat part of the door. What is left on the roller, I do the two edges that will be inaccessible once I place the door back on the table. What is happening outside of the frame of the camera is I'm actually painting the wrong side here. You'll see that in a minute. This is the side that I should have been painting. Now I'll position the door on the table with the two unpainted sides away from the table so I can paint them. This is the side that I painted by mistake. Now I can easily paint the edges that are off the table. After getting paint on the roller, I'll spread it lightly on the three sections shown here. Periodically, you'll see me turn the roller up on the edge, clear the paint off of the edge of the roller because it builds up there. After I get paint on the brush, I start in the corner and work the crack down. And then once I'm done, then I'll go lightly back over it to try to blend it into what I had painted with the roller. Third coat under the shelf with the lesser quality paint. You can see even after 3 coats, this lesser quality paint just isn't worth it. This is the second coat on the doors. I did the first coat yesterday. You can see here, even with good paint, the first coat is not quite enough to make it. This is what it looks like before I put the second coat on. This is after the second coat. I always like to clean up around the lip here, especially if you're going to store this paint for several years. It keeps it much better. This will give you a view of the first coat from a different angle. So I have all the painting done. Now we're going to reinstall the doors. When I took them apart, I labeled them. This is labeled 2 and top, meaning the second door, the top hinge. 2 bottom, second door, bottom hinge. And the numbering is 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So we're going to start putting these back up now. What I'm trying to avoid in this by numbering them is these hinges are adjustable. You can see these screws here. So they've already been adjusted to fit the door on the cabinet. So I'm trying to put them back in the same place, and hopefully I don't have to adjust these screws. So we'll see how lucky we get. Start out, I'm just putting one screw in each of those up here in case I need to adjust it a little bit before I finish it off. So we'll get them all up there, then we'll put the second screw and tighten them all. The other thing I'm doing is I'm putting the hinge on the door first and then fastening to the cabinet second. So for example, you can see, hopefully you can see, I labeled this 2 bottom. So this is 2 bottom here. And this is 2 top. 2 top is here. Now these I'm putting both screws in. This is a month later. I'm back up to the lake. I had lost a video of the rest of the cabinet work. So before I get started back on the cabinets, I want to get some of the leaves off. You can see here while I'm doing that, I'm also trying to charge the golf cart up. Now we're down below doing the patio. I like mixing up the work that I don't like, which is painting, with the stuff that I do like, which is using motorized equipment like this blower. Now we'll get back to the cabinets. Back to second coat on the doors. We're going to put all these cabinet doors back on over here where we finished painting. So the first thing I want to do is lay out all the hardware, which I have numbered. So we'll do that next. This says top 7, so they're all labeled with a top and a bottom and a cabinet number. So I'm going to put these in order here. Well, I was hoping that would line up if I put the same hinges back on, but it's not happening, so I'm going to have to do some adjusting. Before I do the adjusting, I'll try adjusting the mounting screws. Okay, good news. There's a bowl in there that's keeping it from shutting all the way, so my hinges are okay. Okay, that's a wrap for that door. I'll not record all the other ones, but the finished product I'll give you a look-see. Over the Christmas and New Year's holidays, I didn't do much painting. This is actually back the first week of January. Came back up to the lake and starting to put the second coat on the island here. So a lot of it is with the roller again, and then a lot of touch up with the brush. And then once this is done, we'll work on the doors. We're going to put the hardware back on the doors now, and then we'll try installing them. So I'm going to show you how I do that. Try to put the towel down so I don't scratch the new painted surface. Okay, now it's time to put the doors on. The problem I have here is I have the door too far down. If you look at this hinge, it's got a slot there, so there is some adjustment right here. So I need to loosen the screws enough to be able to pull that door up so this does not hit down here. Okay, now it's clearing this, so we're good to go. Should be all done except for some final trim work along the bottom. I don't know if I have a before picture. I'll try to get you an after one. So this would be left side over the sink. Refrigerator around by the pantry. And then the far side here. And we also did the island. We've kind of undecided on this. We may come back later and paint this inside white, but we're trying to keep the project manageable. The whole goal here was to try to brighten up the kitchen, so I think it looks a lot better. This wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. In my next videos, I will be making a picture frame out of pallet boards, placing rocks around the edge of the pond, more driveway concrete work, and some snow removal.